Hello and welcome to the Adventures of Alison Wonderland. My name's Alison. This is another book haul, so I think I might do these charity shop book hauls monthly, because it was really nice to go into the charity shops and have a look at what books they'd got, and there were some incredible deals on this time. And I think once a month would give them time to sort of rehaul their stock. I got about 15 books this time, so yeah, quite a few to get stuck into. I didn't take my glasses with me when I went for the shopping, so I actually didn't read the blurb on any of these books. Some of them I know the author and some of them I've heard of the book, but others I know absolutely nothing about at all. So hopefully I'm going to show you these books, read a bit of the blurb, and then hopefully there'll be some that you quite fancy reading too. So let's get stuck into the first one. So the first one is The Sunday Philosophy Club by Alexander McCall Smith. This is from YMCA shop. Now, although it's got a £1 sticker on there, this was, I took them to the till and the lady was like, oh, you can get 10 books for £1, so if you want to go and add some more. So basically I did. So yeah, this one, let's have a look. So Edinburgh, a genteel home to ladies who lunch, attend concerts, art exhibitions, and, for this is not a showy city, do good by stealth. Ladies for whom chanterelle mushrooms in their omelettes are the only hint of the 21st century. Ladies such as Isabel Dalhousie. But behind Edinburgh's regimented Georgian facades, its moral compasses are spinning with greed, dishonesty, lust, and murderous intent. Isabel knows this. Isabel, in fact, rather relishes it. An accomplished philosopher and editor of the Review of Applied Ethics, she knows all about the difference between good and bad, which is probably why by instinct she's an amateur sleuth. And instinct tells her the man that tumbled to his death in front of her eyes after a concert in the Usher Hall did not fall, he was pushed. So it looks like this is a sleuth type detective book, which is not usually my sort of book, but yeah, very willing to give that a go. It sounds okay. Now the second book I basically bought as part of this deal, and I bought it because it's about Molly Badham, who was the person that opened Twycross Zoo many years ago, and this is Molly's zoo. So this is her story, all about the zoo. So yeah, it's sort of her life story. She also raised the PG Tips chimpanzees, and a lot of them lived in the house with her. So that should be quite an interesting read for me. Next one is just one that again I was filling up my quota, and it's a book that I figured that everybody should have read at some point or other, and that is Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that, because it's something that you always hear about and you always think maybe I should read that, but I'd never seen it out for sale before in the shops. So yeah, I'm going to give that a go, get a little bit educated. So the next one from the YMCA shop is this one by Alison Noel. Now I've got some other books from her, Evermore and the whole series of those, and this one's called The Soul Seeker's Echo. So I think this is a different set of books from the other one, or it says from the best-selling author of the Immortal series, so that's the series that I read a few years back. So this one says, Dea Santos has saved her grandmother's life and her soul, but the cost has been great. The richer family is now loose in the lower world. Dare and her boyfriend Dace must find the riches before the balance between good and evil is destroyed. As their relationship deepens, Dace's evil brother Cade grows stronger. There's some awesome names in this. Building his power and forcing Dare and Dace to confront the horrifying philosophy that has brought them all together, it will force Dare to claim her true destiny as Seeker, but first she must make an unthinkable sacrifice. Now, reading that, I've just remembered that a couple of the characters that were in the Immortal series were Romy and Rain. So this time it's Dare and Dace. So there seems to be a sort of a link there with having characters with similar sounding names beginning with the same letter. Now the next one, oh my goodness, I was so happy to find this. This is actually on my Amazon list of books to buy, and I managed to get it in with this deal. So this is Thomas Hardy's Far from the Madding Crowd. Now, I absolutely love the movie of this. I know that the books are, often different. So I've been really, really wanting to read this book. So I was, and this as well, it looks like it's never been touched. I don't think this book's ever been read. So I was so happy to get hold of this. I shall do one thing in this life, one thing certain, that is, love you and long for you and keep waiting until I die. Independent and spirited, Bathsheba Everdeen owns the hearts of 3 men. Striving to win her love in different ways, their relationships with Bathsheba complicate her life in idyllic Wessex and cast shadows over their own. With the morals and expectations of rural society weighing heavily upon her, Bathsheba experiences the torture of unrequited love and betrayal, and discovers how random acts of chance and tragedy can alter life's course dramatically. So she buys a farm, which I love too. So she's running this farm. So that's really my kind of thing. It's romance and it's farmyard and it's country, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading that. So the next one in this lot from the YMCA is another book that's an older historical novel, Lark Rise to Candleford. So these are really my kind of books, are the sort of the historical type books, especially if they're in the countryside or cottages or anything like that. So in the rural hamlet of Lark Rise and the nearby market town of Candleford, life is marked by the pattern of the seasons and the customs of the countryside. That is just perfect for me. That's the sort of thing that I absolutely love, and the way that I would really like to be living my life too. So seen through the eyes of a young girl, Laura, as she makes her way in life, Lark Rise to Candleford portrays May Day celebrations and forgotten children's games, harvest times, traditional songs, farm workers and craftsmen, friends and relations, rivalries and lasting friendships. Oh, that sounds so beautiful. Based on Flora Thompson's own memoirs of her childhood in Oxfordshire at the end of the 19th century, this semi-autobiographical account is an endearing portrayal of a vanished way of life and a lost corner of England. I didn't realise that. I didn't realise that it was based on the author's own life. I know that this has been dramatised for TV, but I've never watched it. But if I didn't know anything about this at all and just read that on the back, that would be my perfect book. So I think this one's going to move up my TBR ranking. I think that one's going to be coming quite soon for me to read. Next one, a book that I've already listened to the audiobook. I've seen the film and all the rest of it, but never actually read the book. So The Picture of Dorian Gray. So another classic. Just got this one because it's one of those classics that you should have. If it were I who was to be young and the picture that was to grow old, I would give my soul for that. The wish uttered by Dorian Gray as he gazes on his portrait forms the basis of this plot and this brilliant, disturbing story of a gilded and spoilt hedonist who, Faust-like, is willing to sell his soul for his beauty. First publicised to scandalise protest in 1890, Oscar Wilde's fantastic melodrama was widely commended by his contemporaries as an affront to the values of polite society. It has since become one of his most celebrated works, a brilliant example of his power as a storyteller and of his flamboyant wit and aestheticism. So I absolutely love the recent film of this. So and like I say, I listened to the audiobook, so yeah, I will read this, but it'll be down the ranking a little bit because I already know the story. This next one I bought because all of the books that I buy, my mum also reads. And this was a bit of a joke book, really, because my mum has a hospital consultant called Mr. Biswas. So it was a house for Mr. Biswas. And that literally, I'm sorry, it's a bad reason, but that is the reason that I bought it. So let's have a look what this says. But bigger than them all was the house, his house. How terrible it would have been at this time to be without it, to have died among the Torses amid the squalor of that large, disintegrating and indifferent family, to have left Sharma and the children among them in one room. Worse, to have lived without even attempting to lay claim to one's portion of the earth, to have lived and died as one had been born, unnecessary and unaccommodated. Gosh. So that sounds like maybe he's in maybe a poor country, and people don't really have very good housing, and he's managed to put claim on a house. That's what it sounds like. We shall see. So actually that sounds pretty good. So I shall be reading that. So the last one from this shop. Oh, actually, I think I've a few of those. I've made a mistake there. So a few of those books were actually from a different shop. They were from an armed forces support shop. I know that because this last one I remember picking up from there. So this one, Elena Everest, the Butlins girls. So this lady also did one called, I think, the Woolworths Girls. I used to go to Butlins every year as a child, right up until the age of 16, and then I took my own children a couple of times, and then it turned, the one that we went to turned into a haven camp, and then we continued going until a couple of years ago, really. So this was of real interest to me. So times have been hard for Molly Missons. Following the loss of her parents, mysterious, long-lost family have darkened her door, laying claim to her home and her livelihood. Molly applies for a job as a Butlins auntie. So that was such as the old word for the redcoats, which I always wanted to be a redcoat. In the hope of escaping the bitterness and the arguments, when she receives news that she got the job, she immediately leaves her small hometown, enthralled by the promise of a carefree new life in Skegness. As soon as she arrives, Molly finds true friendship in Bunty and Plum, but the biggest shock is that Johnny Johnson, star of the silver screen, is working at Butlins as entertainment advisor. Johnny takes an instant liking to Molly, and she begins to shed the shackles of her recent heartaches. Could Johnny be just the distraction that Molly needs, or is he too good to be true? I guess we'll find out. So yeah, I really, really want to read this because it's all about the redcoats, and I'm all for Butlins and redcoats. So just grab the others. The next three, sorry, got a close up of my head then. The next three are from the Loros shop, and these were 50p each. So this one actually sounded familiar, and I do have one on my Kindle that's got a similar title, but it's not the same. I'm meant to have a look if it's the same author. So this is Harriet Evans, The Garden of Lost and Found. I thought that sounded quite cool. So England 1918, to the millions who queued to see it, The Garden of Lost and Found is an exquisite painting of childhood innocence. To Liddy, whose children play in that painted garden, it's a portrait of all she has lost. For her great-granddaughter Juliet, it's an inheritance of secrets that she must try to understand. And Ned Horner, the genius who painted it, he only wanted to create a refuge from the outside world, but in doing so set his family on a path of destruction. Oh no, it sounded like it was going so well. So then it seems that it's going to go not so well. Lose yourself in this unputdownable tale of the enduring power of family love told by 3 generations of extraordinary women. That sounds great, actually. So yeah, again, anything gardens, I'm good with gardens. This second one I'd already bought in my last charity shop run. I'd already bought a book by this author, who is the author of the #1 bestseller, The Miniaturist, which I still don't have, and I am on the lookout for because I really want to read that one first. But this one's Jessie Burton, The Muse. So again, these beautiful covers. So all her books have such beautiful, beautiful covers. They really attract. Well, they do me anyway. They attract me in. So let's see what this one's about. A picture hides 1,000 words. On a hot July day in 1967, Odelle Bastian climbs the stone steps of the Skeleton Gallery in London, ready for her look to change. She's been employed as a typist by the glamorous and enigmatic Marjorie Quick, who unlocks a potential Odelle didn't realise she had. When a lost masterpiece arrives at the gallery, Quick seems to know more than she's prepared to reveal, and Odelle is determined to unravel the truth. The painting's secret history lies in 1936 and a large house in rural Spain, where Olive Schloss, the daughter of a renowned art dealer, is harbouring ambitions of her own. Into this fragile paradise come 2 strangers who overturn the Schloss family with explosive and devastating consequences. So again, sounds like a really nice book to read. At the end of all of this, I think I'm going to have enough books just to keep me going for the next year. So the last one from that shop, and these ones were 50p each, so these were a really good deal as well. The last ones from that last shop there, I think they were about 20p each. These ones were 50p each. So as I said before, I did get Alexander McCall Smith, the #1 Ladies Detective Agency. This is quite a small book, so it's going to be quite a quick read. So Ma Ramotswe is the proud proprietor of the finest ladies detective agency in all Botswana, also the only one. She spends her time with a cup of red bush tea beneath the acacia tree waiting for clients. When they come along, whether it's to inquire after a missing spouse or check the identity of a long-lost father, it is not the principles of private detection that helps her to solve these cases, but old-fashioned common sense and a warm-hearted understanding of the fallibility of human nature, especially that of men. Sounds good. And a quick read, so this is probably one that I can fit in between others. You know, when you've had a big heavy read and you just want a nice little quick read just as a refresher. So yeah, that's those. Excuse me while I bend down again to get this last lot. So these last ones, these were from the British Heart Foundation. So these were a little bit more expensive, at £1 each, you know, not major, not going to break the bank. So this one, I got this one because my mum says all Rosie Goodwin books are amazing and it looks like it's not been read, it's in really good condition. So this one is The Winter Promise. All the stickers over some of the writing on this one, so I'm just going to have to move the sticker. I do hate it when they stick stickers right in the middle of books. But there we go. So 1850. When Opal Sharp finds herself and her younger siblings suddenly orphaned and destitute, she thinks things can go no worse. But soon 3 of them, including Opal, are struck down with the illness that took their father, and her brother Charlie makes an impossible decision. Unable to afford a doctor, he knows the younger children will not survive. So unbeknown to Opal, Charlie takes them to the workhouse. When she finds out, Opal is heartbroken and things go from bad to worse when Charlie is accused of stealing and transported on a convict ship to Australia. Homeless and alone, Opal doesn't know where to turn, but then she manages to secure a position as a lady's maid working for the formidable but kind-hearted Mrs. King. She thinks that she has finally found some security in life until she attracts the unwanted attention of her mistress's son. Desperately missing her family, Opal makes a promise to reunite them all one day, but will the Sharps ever find their way back to each other? So yeah, that actually does sound quite good. So I'm going to start reading these Rosie Goodwin books because they do sound good. But my mum always gets these first because she's so much faster at reading than me. So she gets them, she reads them all, and then she's like, read this one next, and I'm like, I'm still on the first one because I'm quite slow at reading. So the next one, again, £1, and I basically bought this one because it's about a cottage. So Escape to Willow Cottage by Bella Osborne. So, you know, anything about a cottage, I'm there. I'm good for that. So, how far would you go to escape a broken heart? Beth is running away with her son Leo to take care of. She thinks a remote, run-down cottage in the Cotswold Hills is exactly the lifeline she needs. But no escape is ever simple. Beth quickly realises that renovating Willow Cottage will be more challenging than she ever imagined. And she's going to have to do it alone because the locals Beth meets are more than a little eccentric. That is until a chance encounter leads her to Jack, the only other person in the village under 30. Jack may be gruff, but he's useful, and Beth is delighted when she persuades him to help her put the cottage in order. But as the seasons unfurl, Beth realises that Jack might be restoring more than just Willow Cottage. Can Beth's shattered heart be pieced together as well? Renovating a run-down cottage in the middle of nowhere in the Cotswolds. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So yeah, another one to add to my TBR list. The very last one, I paid £1.50 for this one because it's a big hardback. And again, a book that everyone should really own and read. So all of the stories of Sherlock Holmes. Again, myself and my youngest son absolutely loved the TV series of Sherlock Holmes. I've obviously, as I've grown up, have heard all the stories, Hounds of the Baskervilles and all of those things. So yeah, this is one, you know, those stories that you always mean to read and just never get around to. So now I've got no excuse because I've got them all in one book. So I have no excuse at all now not to read them. So let's just have a look which stories are in this book. So it's A Study in Scarlet, The Sign of Four, The Hound of the Baskervilles and The Valley of Fear. So yeah, there's quite a few of the books that I keep meaning to read in there. So that's the end of this haul. Oh, there is just one book that isn't in this haul that I just want to tell you about. So this is a book that every time I went into the supermarket, into our local supermarket, I saw this on the shelf and the cover really attracted me and I really wanted to get it, but I didn't want to pay full price for it. So kept looking for it and actually found it eventually in a charity shop for 99 pence. And it's got a beautiful purple colours as well on the pages. It's a really nice book. I mean, it's just a beautiful book. It's really tactile as well. It's just so nice. I'm reading this book at the minute. You can see I'm just over halfway through and I'm really enjoying it. It's a really good book. It's got everything in it. I mean, I'll read the back, but it really doesn't do it justice. And there's some other twists and turns and things in here as well. So Emmett Farmer is a binder's apprentice. His job is to handcraft beautiful books and within each to capture something unique and extraordinary, a memory. If you have something you want to forget or a secret to hide, he can bind it and you will never have to remember the pain it caused. In a vault under his mentor's workshop, row upon row of books and secrets are meticulously stored and recorded. Then one day Emmett makes an astonishing discovery. One of the volumes has his name on it. Now, that doesn't even begin to explain the things that are in this book. So I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it, and there's not a lot I can say without spoiling it. So, but if you're looking for a nice magical book, oh gosh, it's set in all sorts of time periods and all different things going on. This is a great book. I really suggest this book for reading. I'm really enjoying it and I can't wait to get to the end of it to find out what happens. So yeah, that's it for this haul. So I hope you enjoyed that and you found something, maybe a book that piqued your interest a little bit and sounded like something that you wanted to read. As I say, I'm going to do this every month. So if you want to see not only the other videos that I make that will be about different things, but also the next book haul videos, then please subscribe down below so that you know, and press the notification bell, and then you'll be notified when I put another video up. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up because as a new channel it'll really help for my videos to be seen. So thanks very much and I'll see you again next time. Have a lovely day.